Hey guys, so I'm going to be showing you how to make a shaker card today, and I made this using a couple of different Cricut shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and get started so that the Cricut design space part of this is not really long. So I already have design space opened up to a blank canvas, and I'm going to click on insert images and insert several images at once. So I need two rectangles. I also need a sun. And I need a circle. And you can choose multiple images at once. You can see them popping up here as I go when I put the little green check marks on them. So the last shape I need is a circle. Okay, so I have my circle, my sun, and my rectangle. And I'm just going to copy and paste this to the rectangle here to get a second one. So I'm going to click Insert Images, and they're all going to pop up on the screen all on top of each other. So I'm going to separate all of these. So the first shape I'm going to work with is the sun. On the layers palette over here on the right, you can see there's the top yellow piece, an orange piece, and a black piece. That's the shadow, and the shadow is actually turned off. I'm going to turn the shadow on, because that's the piece I'm going to use, and turn off the orange layer and the yellow layer. So I just have the outline of the sun. And next I'm going to start working on my rectangles. Now I need two of these, so I'm going to select it and hit copy and then paste, and I'm going to resize these into the pieces I need. So this first rectangle needs to be 3 1/4 by 4.5 inches. It's going to be that white layer of the card. So I'm going to click edit and unlock the aspect ratio because I want to specify the size exactly. And I'm going to change this to 3.25 by 4.5. Hit enter. And while I have the layers palette open, I'm going to do the same thing to this other one. This is my background sheet, the pink piece on my card. And I'm going to change this to 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to unlock it again because I don't want the aspect ratio locked. And I'm going to change this to 3.5 and my height to 4.75. Okay, so now I have my pieces here. I'm going to start my welding and piece making. So I'm going to take this piece, this is my front panel, and I'm going to line this dot up here with one of the lines on the ruler to get it centered because there's no centering tools that I've seen or heard of in Cricut Design Space, as in I haven't heard of any coming and I haven't found any that were hidden from users in any manuals. So anyways, I'm going to take the rectangle and line it up so that it's pretty centered, and then I'm going to take my sun and do the same thing. Near the top, line this up with the 4, because that's the center point I'm using, so that it's pretty centered. And then on my keyboard, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select the pink piece and the sun. So the rectangle and the sun, and you can see in the layers palette here that they're both selected. This one's gray and all of these are gray. And I'm going to click weld. And it's going to take a second to think about it, and it's going to turn into a piece with a cutout in it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this panel here, and this is going to be the back piece for my shaker card. And I'm cutting a hole in it so that these two pieces can layer on top of each other. You could do it with two suns, but you would have to make sure your alignment is perfect, and I generally skip anything that requires perfection. So I'm going to line this up here, and I'm going to make it big enough so that it hides my entire sun. So that works, but it's actually a little too big. I can see it peeking out. So I'm going to select this sun and right click with the mouse and tell it to bring to front. So move to front. So that way I can see a little easier. All right, so this piece is big enough, so now I can line it up here on top of this one. And I'm going to do the same thing as when I made the sun piece here. I'm going to click the circle and then hold down the shift key on my keyboard and select the rectangle. And then I'm going to click weld. So it cuts a hole in the back of this one as well. Now I am ready to assemble my card. Here are all my pieces all cut out, and I'm using a yellow scrap piece of pattern paper for the back of the sun, and I also cut out a small piece of window sheet or acetate sheet as a front panel. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually attach the front white panel down to my work surface and stamp out my sentiment using my stamp positioner. After the stamping has dried, I'm going to flip the front piece over and use some liquid adhesive. This is Tombow Mono Multi Adhesive. I'll link it down below to attach the clear window sheet onto the front panel of the card. That's what's going to hold the sequins in, and I'm going to set it aside and just let it dry. Now that the glue is dry, I'm going to go ahead and use some Tombow Extreme adhesive, or some people know it as Fast Fuse, to attach the white panel onto the pink mat that I've cut the circle out of. Now you can see that you can see the sun through the back without seeing that pink paper. That's why I chose to use a circle instead of another sun. Now it's time to build a little house for our sequins. I'm going around the sun using foam tape and building a little box. You could go along all the little edges if you wanted to, but I find it easier just to build a box. After you've filled your box with sequins, go ahead and use a scrap piece of paper or whatever you want to show through the back of your window and seal the box closed. Now my front panel is done. I'm just going to add some dimensional adhesive to the bottom to make it even, and some regular tape runner adhesive to the top so that it sticks down, and apply it to my card base, and that's it.